Okay, so we're talking about stochastic flow and scalar dispersion from flux release in urban light arrays. This is part of the PhD of my student. And I'll try to explain to you what she's doing. So the idea is to study why the flow is stochastic and how to include this kind of process in strict network models. So we know that's completely different in this scale of study that we are looking for street scale and buildings. Turbulence is very important. So the flow is always moving, everything is out there. And if you look at the explosion, this is a simulation from a continuous release, and you can see that sometimes go to one street and sometimes go to the other street, the other side. And that's why we are trying to study. Most of so our simulation, we decided to do a simulation to do that. It's a DNS simulation. The domain is 24 by 24 feet. The buildings are like a rectangular shape, so that is two ways. Looking, there's two ways in one direction and one way, and h is the building height. The height of the domain, the total height was 8 building height. We had a sponge layer that to remove the scalar from re-entering in the domain. And we had 3 source locations. One of sorry, no, how can I go back? Sorry. So we have one source location in the intersection, another one in this short street, and another one in the long street. There is a lot of red dots here, and that's the makers of these symbols. So we place it in the same location, like here in the long street, 16 sources. Each of these sources emitted 3 puffs. It was the first puff, and when we leave the array, it started again. So in the end, we have 48 puffs for each source location. And that makes the simulation short. It was a DNS, so no numerical model for turbulence. The wind direction was 45 degrees. Yes. The simulation is validated against a wind tunnel. The paper for this validation is submitted, and soon you'll be able to see it. But it's good. So let's go talk about the stochastic process. So this is an animation of the velocity field, the instantaneous velocity field, and you can see that's completely random. And even in location where they should have similar variability, like in the intersections, or if you're comparing the long street with a short street, they should have the same structure. But when we look at the instantaneous flow, it's completely different. And this is going to affect the dispersion. So here is that it's just 2 snapshots, just 2 images at the half of the building height, and this is in the top of the building height. And you can see even if height is completely different as well. And if you look, you can see that it's this black line, black arrows here. I'm going to move those locations to the next slide so we can see better. And here there is the wind vector, and underneath this is the magnitude of the velocity. So you can see where it's going and where it's passing. And even if you look at here, this is the long street. The long street should have the big recirculation. It's the structure of the flow. When it's impinging an obstacle, they should have recirculation. But in this instantaneous flow, we can see that's very a lot. And we cannot say, okay, if I believe something in this point, this is going to take one direction. We cannot say that. So if you move a little bit, the location or the time step, the dispersion is going to be completed. Okay, it's nice to see the pictures, but it's better to have a qualitative idea what's happening. So this is the PDF of the velocities. This is within the array, so between the buildings. and then three other ones, it's above the array. So this is U, V, and M. And this is not Gaussian. You can see the Gaussian is the black line, and sometimes it's larger, this is skewness to one side or to the other side. And even if the consideration that the velocity is following a Gaussian distribution is not true, there's a difference. So if you assume this in this network model, this is going to be a problem for the dispersion. And this is a result that I really like it because it shows the switching to one direction or the other. This is the wind direction. This is close to the ground, a quarter of the building, half of the building, and the top of the building. The top of the building, you see that is almost 45, so it's aligned with the external flow. But within the buildings, it's varying. Sometimes it goes one direction, then to the other direction. And the buildings is not square, they are rectangular, so that's one direction, they tends to go more to that direction. So that's what we see here. So we are trying to implement this in the numerical model, the network models. And this is the final. This is sometimes that we usually see. This is the average, the time average for the instantaneous velocity. This is the normal stuff that we see. And even that, this is different. See, now you can see that the recirculations, and that's one recirculation here. And that's a channeling that's going, moving things to the other intersections, and that's the recirculations here. And then this is the dividing streamline that makes things go one direction or the other direction. And this is the nice part. So this is the release of the puffs. There is three sources. One source is in the short strip, the section, and the long strip. It's going back again. Just a second, so you can pay attention. And the locations of the release makes completely different. Sometimes there's backward diffusion, concentrations go back here, and sometimes it's just the plume is wider. So this is source location. But if I take one location, and because we have these different releases, this is happening. This is completely different. If I compare the first one, this one, with the last one, look at the size of the plume, look at the size of that. There's a lot of backward diffusion. That means that the stochastic part of the flow is going to change completely the dispersion of the scalar. And here we're just comparing how the puffs are moving along the array. So this should be the array, and we are looking the average of the 48 peaks of the 48 puffs with any of a normal puff, just one. And you see that any of these plots, they are not similar. They are completely different. I don't have one puff that's similar to the average of all of them. So everything is completely random. And here, it's something that is called the arrival time at location. So we are calculating, this is just for one source. The source is short strip. So we calculate how long it takes for the puff to move from here to be here. And this is within the array. So the colors, the blues color are slower, and the yellows, so here is taking longer. And what's interesting is that it goes faster above the array, so it reaches longer distance much faster. That means that the scalar from the puff is moving up to the array, walking above the array, and then entering the scalar. So there's like a shortcut to get pollution in the inside of the street further away. And this is the peak concentration. I'm sorry, I forgot to say. This is the arrival time for 5% of the peak, so it's the first time that I can detect the peak. And the second one is the peak concentration, the peak time. So I wait for the whole puff to arrive, so it's taking longer. So it's expected to have that. And it's easy to measure 5% of the peak, but not the whole peak. And this is, we're just comparing how fast the puff is moving, comparing with the velocity of the flow. And we can see here, this is three lines that we are measuring along of the array. And the velocity, the average velocity within the array is 1.4, and above the array is 3.7. This is important because we're comparing just to understand the magnitude. So here we have a velocity. We are dividing the puff velocity by the flow velocity, and here we have the velocity of the puffs. So we can see that this is slower comparing to the puff when they are moving in the top of the domain. This is the arrival peak, and this is the arrival time, and this is the peak concentration. So I need to wait for the peak to arrive to calculate it. So this is cool because I can see that within the array, the puff is moving slow, and when it goes up, it's faster, and then can re-enter again. This is some conclusion that stochastic process is pretty important. Even for the simplest geometry, it's just a rectangular that makes a lot of difference. If I move 1 millimeters or 1 second, or just a small movement changes completely the movement. And that's it. So thanks for everybody that contributes for it.
Thank you for the wonderful presentation. Any questions from the audience?
I can hear a question. Thank you. Very nice presentation. I'm curious about your boundary conditions and your atmospheric stability in your numerical experiment and also in the wind tunnel that you referred to.
Okay. So the boundary condition for the simulation is periodic boundary condition. The flow enters in black. It's just that's the spontaneity just for the scalar. We compare the wind tunnel structure, but we compare with the wind tunnel. It's the wind tunnel from the inflow. It's walls. So, but this domain that was inside of the domain, the wind tunnel is proportional. So we could compare.
It was stable.
It was stable. Neutral stability.
Thank you. Yeah, if I have time, I may take a quick one. I wonder if in your study, so is the buoyancy effect being considered?
No, it's stable. It's neutral condition.
Yeah, so any comments on?
Yes, we are trying to do that. It's in our to-do list to do simulation with energy.
Looking forward to it. Yeah, follow the study. Yeah.
Thank you.
So, yeah. Thank you.